Hello, my name is Deborah Plummer and I'm an author with Jessica Kingsley Publishers. I've written several books on the use of games with children and also on general childhood well-being. My ideas for mindfulness play have come about over a number of years as the books have crystallized. And mindfulness play to me is based on a coming together of mindfulness in the people, the children or the adults we're working with, and the facilitator, and meeting in a shared space. And the concept of mindfulness play has arisen out of particularly looking at the series of games books with Jessica Kingsley Publishers, the child-centered approach, and the idea of needing to be very aware of how we work with people. Mindfulness play also involves imagery and a basic model of well-being which I've developed through my clinical practice and in subsequent teaching. And so perhaps the easiest way to explain that model, I have tried many times to illustrate it or write it or have a flow chart. For me that doesn't work because I think very much in images. And so the way I see this well-being model is if you imagine that you and I have been invited to set up residence in Wellbeing town, and we both have a plot of a similar size. We're told we can build 8 rooms in this plot, but we can make those any size we like within the plot, and we can have doors and windows, or we can have a very open plan approach. And each of these 8 rooms represents, for me, the foundation elements of well-being. Originally in my books I called them the foundation elements of self-esteem, but it's very much to do with general well-being as well. And those 8 foundation elements are dependent on and build upon core abilities. The core abilities we can imagine are the walls of this plot, this house that we're going to build. And they are things like imagination, the ability to imagine, the ability to observe, and the ability to see effectively, and the ability to listen effectively. Within our houses that we're going to build, we can have any number of windows and doors which represent how easily we can access these rooms, how easily we can engage in mutuality with others, people entering into our space, sharing our space with others. And of course there's furniture and fixtures and fittings, and those represent our skills. So there we are, we've both moved into our new homes, and they're not quite completed yet, but we're building them up. And I look over at your house and I think, they're having much more fun than I am. And so I go and talk to you, and you tell me, well, different rooms serve different functions at different times in our lives. And you help me to see that my self-reliance room looks more like a fortress than the space that I really wanted it to be, the relaxation space. And my self and others room, and my relationship room, and my beyond self, which is the sort of spiritual aspect of me, are tiny. And you suggest that if I knock down a few walls, put a few floor cushions in, learn some new skills, I might be happier there. Sure enough, I do that. Lo and behold, I've got a meditation room big enough for friends to join me, and the house progresses. So that's how I see the well-being model. And I do believe that children need to address all 8 of those foundation elements. We need to help them to address those, but we can do it through play. And that's the essence of the books, really, is engaging in the wonderment that children are capable of. Not totally entering into their worlds, mentoring, but meeting them in a space between their world and our world. And that's where mindfulness play takes part. What I've been talking about here is just a taster of what the books contain, and the most recent book, Focusing on Calming Games for Children, brings all these elements together, and I hope that you will find that useful.